Hey, since it's just me and you today, we can leave secret little messages for Jeff in the podcast.
Oh man, I wish I had
we
better
can
audio editing.
completely derail it
I wish.
and talk about murder.
About what?
Murder.
Murder.
Well, this afternoon I was like, don't know what we're talking about, and you're like, unsolved murders. So let's talk about the Zodiac killer.
Okay, yeah. So, Ted Cruz is a politician.
Or is he? Also, Henry VIII was the Zodiac killer.
I would love to talk about Tudor murders.
And
not like unsolved ones, but just murders in general.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about Tudor murders. Let's put that on the list, and I will do some research, and maybe it'll be one of those mini episodes that we keep talking about will happen. But my concern with doing a Tudor murder is that the forensics were non-existent and science was practically non-existent, as we're going to talk about today.
What are we talking about?
So, today, by the way, welcome to Tudor. I hardly know her.
Oh shit, we're starting the show?
We can.
All right. Hey, Tudor.
Hey,
we're back.
This is our show. Jeff's not here to tell us what we can and cannot do.
This is the Garrett and Emily show.
Thomas Cromwell, our Thomas Cromwell, is out. It is 1542, and we are
and
beheading
Jeff
him.
sailed
No,
the
we're
ocean
not.
blue out of this fucking show.
Jeff, we're not beheading you, I promise. Man, we're going to get the cut. Like, the FBI is listening right now, and they're going to be like, you guys are talking about murder and beheading someone. You got to go.
They're not listening to this.
Or are they?
I lied on my taxes.
Favorite.
Now we'll know if they're going to come after me.
Yeah, they're going to come after Garrett Kaiser, who's making how much in South Bend?
I don't want to talk about that.
Look, Garrett, if they're not going after Trump, he's got much bigger fish to like. That's the big fish fry right there.
Oh man, a big old fish fry sounds
the big
really good right now.
Orange blob. Fish and chips sound good.
Yeah.
That's English.
Yeah, that does.
That's English. That's related to the podcast.
So, speaking of related to the podcast, what are we talking about today?
Today we are going to talk about John Dee. So I'd heard his name a couple of times, and I always thought he was similar to Cecil, who we've talked about in the past. Mm-hmm. He is not like Cecil. I can tell you that. So.
First things first. Sorry, everyone, for missing an episode last week.
Yeah, Emily was hurling.
You were that sick?
Yeah.
See, I said to Emily, Emily, just send me your notes, and then Jeff and I will do the podcast together.
Yeah, I got sick Monday night. I got home from work, and I was going to research, and I got sick Monday night. And I was like, well, maybe it'll be quick, and I'll feel better in the morning. And then the next morning, I was like, well, I want to die.
I'm so sorry.
I'm kind of worried that I'm not talking loud enough, but at the same time, I'm talking pretty loud.
You sound a little different.
It's probably...
We'll fix it in post.
Maybe it's the headphones.
We'll fix it in post.
And by we mean Jeff. Have fun, Jeff.
Love you.
Mwah. Yeah, so Emily's feeling better. Thank you all for your well wishes. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. But I am feeling better, and we are back from outer space. We just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face.
What?
I should have changed the stupid locks. It's respect, Garrett.
No, that's I Will Survive.
That's
respect is different.
It is.
Different independent woman anthem.
Sorry. Jeff, fix that. I didn't make the wrong mistake. This is going to be fun.
Anyway, speaking of respect, John Dee got none, am I right?
John Dee, he actually had some and then none and then some and then none.
But he did survive.
He did not survive.
Oh, shit.
I mean, he did survive, but it's history, so everybody's dead. So by survived, you mean didn't get beheaded?
Yeah.
Because that's true. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. D me up.
All right.
Give me the D.
We're gonna get spoopy.
What was spoopy?
Spoopy John Dee.
You
ready?
Spooky stuff with John Dee?
There's spooky stuff with John Dee.
Oh my God, I'm in. John
John
Dee
Dee
also
invented-
sounds a little bit like a Mulan
He's-
villain.
And to me, he sounds like a 80s hair metal singer, except it was like one of the lesser known ones that nobody remembers.
John Dee from the band. Okay.
Beheaded. Courtiers.
No,
that's awful.
that's not a hair metal band. A hair metal band is like
naked.
okay.
Naked something.
White Roses.
I like
That's
it.
good.
Yeah. Although he wouldn't have been a White Rose, it would have been the Tudor Rose. But I'll allow it. Okay, so John Dee, the famous singer from the 80s hair metal band
Henry was on
White
drums.
Roses. Henry was on. No, he was on the what's that stupid ass instrument that you and I joked about forever?
Oh, the
Hurdy-gurdy.
the hermy-gurmy.
The hurdy-gurdy.
Hurdy-gurdy.
Hermy-gurmy.
Hank Tudor on the hurdy-gurdy.
Oh man, this is gonna be a good one. Okay, so John D. Rockefeller. No, just John Dee. He was born on July 13th. Hey, that's my anniversary. 1527. And his family arrived in London right after Henry VII became king, so the less murdery Henry. And his father became a courtier of Henry VII. So things were fine.
Is it courtier or courtier?
I don't know. Somebody will tell me I pronounced it wrong. Also, let me just say that if the girls from the awesome badass ladies from My Favorite Murder can struggle to pronounce British cities, so can I. Because it took them like 5 minutes of debating to figure out it was pronounced Leicester, not Leicester. So, fuck you.
We're not nearly as famous as them, so cut some slack. We're not even famous. I said nearly famous. We're not even close to famous.
Hey, we have strangers who know who we are. That's not famous. Whatever. Fuck it.
If somebody hears me on the street and says, "Hey, are you the guy from Tudor I Hardly Know Her?" I'll say no.
Why?
Well, because I don't want to let the fame go to my head.
See, if I was to become famous, I want to be like Stephen King, J.K. Rowling famous, where people know who I am. I have all that money to burn, but I don't get surrounded by the paparazzi every time I go outside.
The podcast paparazzi.
The paparazzi.
Paparazzi. Nightcrawler 2.
Oh, this is going to be a long one.
So Jake Gyllenhaal, he's run out of people to, exploit and take advantage of. So he starts being paparazzi for podcasters. So he's after like Mark Maron and Kevin Smith, and that's all I've got. Continue with the actual history lesson.
So his family claimed they were descendants of Rodri the Great. I've never heard of him, but apparently he was a Prince of Wales, and I would claim descending from a guy named Rodri the Great too. Like, that's just a cool name. So at age 15, he was in college because he was a big old fucking nerd. And he was an original fellow of Trinity College when it was established by Henry VIII in 1546. See, Henry liked smart stuff. He wasn't just about beheading his wives in the later years.
Trinity College.
Yes.
Okay.
Which there's one of those in every state. So
I was gonna say that sounds like one of
probably
those
the one in Ohio.
for-profit colleges that like you see advertisements for all the fucking
Do
time.
you want to become a nurse?
Get your degree in less than 5 days.
If you know how to spell your name, you get a Bachelor of Arts. So he was apparently a big old theater nerd too, because he devised some sort of clever special stage effects for a play, and it gave him a reputation as basically the Neil Patrick Harris of the Tudors. He was very magical. He probably had some badass Halloween costumes too. So in the late 1540s and early 1550s, he was traveling through Europe and studying, as you will. And when he was in his early 20s, he was already lecturing at universities in Paris.
Again, making me feel inadequate.
We don't need to lecture in Paris. We have Twitter, Garrett.
That's today's lecturing in Paris. The great painters of our time who painted astounding murals at my age, I could just go on Instagram.
Pretty much. Yeah. Who needs to be smart or anything like that?
I mean,
all you have to do is
the classical composers. I could just be a SoundCloud rapper and just tattoo my face and get stupid-looking dreadlocks.
Oh, please don't grow. Oh my God, there's nothing more disgusting than white people with dreadlocks. It's so gross.
Some people can pull it off. I would never. I could
absolutely.
Never.
Do you want to know what white people dreadlocks are?
Huh.
They're unwashed braids. That's it.
Yeah.
Speaking
of, like, why do people like Post Malone? I'm sorry if you do.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Post Malone is?
No.
He's one of these hot up-and-coming young rappers, and he just looks real gross. He looks like he hasn't washed.
Does he have dreadlocks?
I think he has dreadlocks. He definitely has face tattoos and a grill.
Ew, face tattoo. Ew, grills? What is it, 2008?
Let me see your grill. You want to see my what?
Yeah,
rob the jewelry store.
White people.
Don't make me a grill.
I'm not even sorry if one of our listeners is a white person with dreadlocks. Please stop. You are gross.
Oh,
it's just,
don't.
And what's worse is like half-formed dreadlocks when somebody's in the middle of getting dreadlocks.
I knew a guy from high school who had dreadlocks, but
he was probably a douche.
Well, no, he was pretty cool. He was in a metal band, so he kind of pulled it off.
No. It's so gross.
John Dee.
John Dee did not have dreadlocks. He invented dreadlocks. So he became friends while he was traveling Europe and lecturing on his Twitter account, he became friends with famous cartographers, and he studied and lectured on math throughout Europe. Apparently he was a big old deal with the mathematical world. So finally he came back to England with, quote, an important collection of mathematical and astronomical instruments. So I think that means he had like the world's first graphing calculator. He created the first. He invented the TI-83. It stands for Tudor Intelligence 83.
Tudor Instruments. And then it moved to America. They had to change to Texas Instruments.
So he met a dude, and together they investigated a perpetual motion machine, which is a machine that doesn't require any sort of energy, and it just powers itself. So it's like a bunch of levers and gears constantly turning themselves. So they don't really exist, but they were investigating it. And then he was also investigating a gem purported to have magical properties. So he was putting together the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh, I think I say the Philosopher's Stone.
No. I mean, maybe. Shit. I should have looked that up. I actually think he did have something to do with the Philosopher's Stone.
If any people in old-time England were, like, checking out any stones, it was probably the Philosopher's Stone, right?
I think the Infinity Stones. Like, you can blame him for all that shit.
Yeah, he had the what is that? What did he have? He had the Soul Stone.
What would he have had? He would have had, I think he would have had maybe, I can't find any, it doesn't say anything about him using the Philosopher's Stone.
Who was the dude? Who was the dude he was with?
His name, just some guy with an Italian name. I didn't save it because he only pops up at this point.
Okay.
So then in 1555, he was arrested and charged with calculating for having cast horoscopes. He used that TI-83 for casting horoscopes of Queen Mary and Princess Elizabeth, which was against the law. And eventually that was expanded to treason against Mary, and those Tudors. Things don't always go well with them.
So he got arrested
for telling her that she was a Virgo and she was going to have a really great week.
He went up to the queen and said, "Hey, baby, what's your sign?" And they threw him in the jail.
For the worst pickup line ever. So he was called to present his case about why he shouldn't be executed, and he actually exonerated himself. But then Bishop Bonner, a Catholic priest or Catholic bishop, was like, excuse me, there's still a religious aspect to this. So he went to him for a religious examination, and then he was ultimately cleared again. So John Dee was very good at convincing people he was not doing stuff that he was in fact doing. And apparently this kind of shit happened a lot. He'd get himself arrested, get in trouble, get himself off, disappear, come back. After this incident, he actually became a friend of Bishop Bonner, so that was pretty cool. Then he was like, you know what, Queen Mary, no harm. How about we do this really cool thing where we preserve books and manuscripts and all these important records, and let's found the first national library, which is fucking badass.
That's pretty cool.
Especially after heartbreak of heartbreaks, I still can't get over the Library of Alexandria having burned down. He probably was just as sad about that, even though it was centuries before. And it was like, nope, never again. Not on my watch. But Mary was like, yes, on your watch. I don't want a library. Fuck you. She's like, I want another McDonald's. So John Dee was like, you know what? Fuck you. I'll make my own library with blackjack and hookers. Except the blackjack and the hookers. And
I understand why he kept getting thrown in prison. He's like, hey, Queen, I'm going to go completely against something that you want. Like, please don't.
I'm going to go rogue. Well, his library ended up becoming the greatest in England and was one of the best libraries outside of universities. So that was that's like my dream come true. Mm-hmm. So then in 1558, things got better because Elizabeth became queen, and Dee became one of her advisors. He specifically was advising her on English voyages and discovery, and he was the first to term the, quote, British Empire. So every oppressed person in the world, you can go ahead and blame John Dee for being that bitch. In 1577, he wrote a book, A General and Rare Memorials Pertaining to the Perfect Art of Navigation. And it was his vision of a maritime empire, and he asserted his English territorial claims on the New World. So once again, John Dee, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll give him a big middle finger.
But he did do the library.
But he did do the library. There's like lots of like middle fingers plus a thumbs up. It's weird. Then he got, okay, so when I read this, I literally rolled my eyes. It sounds so douchey. So he wrote in 1564 something called the Monas Hieroglyphica, and it was an exhaustive Kabbalistic interpretation of a glyph of his own design meant to express the mystical unity of all creation.
So
it sounds very Madonna.
I was going to say, it sounds like Prince.
Yes. Oh my God. And the thing almost looks a little bit like Prince's symbol too.
Send it to me.
So, let me find it. John Dee glyph. John Dee glyph. John Jacob Jingleheimer glyph.
Okay, I got it.
Oh, you got it? And it looks like Morbo from
I've definitely
Futurama with
this.
boobs.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
It's kind of cute.
I mean, it looks angry.
It does look angry. It looks like if the Prince symbol was made into one of the unknown Pokemon.
It's the second evolution of Prince. So he wrote this whole fucking book about this fake glyph. He made that up. He wrote a whole book all about his interpretation of it and how it was meant to express the mystical unity of all creation. That sounds a little bit like the beginning of a cult, doesn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
A little culty. So in the 1580s, he was like, you know what? The books aren't giving me the kind of knowledge I want, so let's play with the Ouija board.
Whoa.
Which is like what every college kid does at some point. They reach a point where they're like, I'll sell my soul to the devil to pass this fucking test. So he used a crystal scryer to contact spirits to get more knowledge, as you will. That's like my first leap. Shit, this book didn't have what I wanted to know.
Let's ask the ghosts.
Let's contact the dead. So he hired a specific crystal scryer that he said he really liked. His name was Edward Kelly. And he devoted all of his energies to the supernatural.
Wait a second. I've heard about Edward Kelly.
Have you really?
Yeah. He shows up in a video game that I've played. That takes from...
Isn't there a metal song about John Dee? Mac will know.
Yeah. There's a metal song about Aleister Crowley. John Dee, William Adams, Aleister Crowley, Roger Bacon. I've heard of these guys.
Roger Bacon.
Yeah, I think it was I think he dealt with the occult. Maybe. Who knows?
Anyway, so he would have these spiritual conferences, and there would be like intense Christian piety surrounding it, so you know he's not really messing with the devil. But there'd be like intense purification and prayer and fasting before these spiritual conferences would happen. So Dee claimed that angels actually dictated his books to him, kind of like the Bible, you know?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, this totally sounds like the beginning of an episode of Supernatural. I think we've joked about that before. I think we've joked about this before, but I'm totally picturing John Dee talking to angels, and then Sam and Dean Winchester burst in their flannel. Except they drive in with their Impala. Just through a fucking castle.
I've barely seen Supernatural, so I cannot go with you on this tangent.
I miss Jeff.
If Jeff were here, he'd know what to do.
Jeff would make jokes with me. That's okay. So, in 1583, a Polish nobleman was visiting England, and meanwhile, John Dee was like, I'm still, most of his works, most of his, like, I'm going to be really smart. It was really to become a better courtier so that he could be higher up and have a little bit more power.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he sounds like the embodiment, like the ultimate personification of fake it till you make it.
He really is.
Like just bullshitting your way to the top.
He totally is. So a Polish nobleman came to the Tudor court and he met John Dee. And since things weren't going well, the Polish nobleman was like, why don't you come back to Poland with me where everything is great and everybody will love you? So John was like, well, of course that sounds like a good idea. So he gets to Poland and the guy's actually bankrupt. So John Dee's like, fuck you, I'm out.
He got catfished.
He got catfished. Oh my God, can you imagine an episode of Tudor Catfish?
Well, she sent me this painting of herself.
Oh my God, Anne of Cleves catfished Henry VIII. Holy shit, this is real.
God, write this down in the skits. This is a really good idea.
This is a perfect one. So the Polish guy was bankrupt, and so John Dee took his special scryer and just kind of roamed England. He met the Polish king, and the Polish king was like, you seem pretty cool, but I don't trust you because I don't trust Elizabeth, and you could probably be a spy for her. So he kind of just waffled around his court there, and hold on, I'm pulling up a picture I took earlier.
The more you talk about this guy, it sounds like a good idea for a show, like just some like
it sounds like the Magic School Bus.
Some 16th century like bullshit artist who like roams Europe with a guy who helps him talk to the dead, quote, quote, and then just bullshitting all these like nobles out of their money. But then sometimes it gets into like real situations. I guess it's like Psych.
Yes. This is psych. And there's a pineapple in every scene. Anyway. So, in 1587, Kelly, his scryer, was like, I was talking to this angel named Uriel or something.
Uriel.
Probably.
Yeah.
Uriel, sure. And Uriel was like, you guys really need to share everything with everyone, including your wives.
It's like, hey, man, you into swinging? God says it's cool.
Isn't that the classic swingers pickup line? Well, Dee was like, I'm very anguished. I believe you. I just don't know if that's something I really want to do. It's very, So he was super torn up about it, but he's like, well, if the angels say that's what we should do.
Angel Uriel says I shall let this guy bang my wife. Who am I to say no?
Exactly. So, pretty abruptly, they broke off their conference, and 9 months later, Dee's wife had a son. Do you want to know how old John Dee was?
How old was John Dee?
60. Do you want to know how old his young buddy who suggested swinging was?
Ooh. How?
32. It's like a great episode of Maury.
My crystal scryer banged my wife at the behest of God.
But wait, can you imagine like the call out for when they are actually asking for it? Because in the middle of the show they do a thing where they're like, have you been sleeping with your boyfriend and his brother and now you have a baby and you don't know whose it is? Like they always do something weirdly specific. That's what I want to hear.
Has your
your
work partner told you
wife?
that the angel Uriel wants you to share your wife and now she's pregnant? Call Maury.
1-800 Maury-Povich. So,
God, that's good. That's so good. He's
I know.
so
I love
stupid to
history.
fall for it.
I know, but he truly believed he was talking to angels.
Then he sounds like he's just really an idiot. It just believed it, like he loved the smell of his own fart so much. Like he just believed his own bullshit so hard. And Kelly's like, I'm just gonna like take this motherfucker for everything. Like I'm gonna see how far I can go. He's like, hey man, Angel Uriel visited me in my sleep. Said that we should share some money. Like can you loan me a $5? And he's like, yeah, sure. If Uriel said it's cool. And the next day it's like, damn, I can't believe it was that easy. Let's try this again. Hey, Uriel said that I should sleep with your wife. What? Excuse me? Did she really say that? Yeah. I don't know why did she tell you? I don't know why she told me. She wanted me to pass it on to you, dude. I'm not married, so I mean, you can't. I mean, if I were married, you could sleep with my wife, totally. But it's what they want. The man upstairs, he knows what he likes.
The angels were getting bored waiting for humans to invent porn.
God, that's an episode I want. Tudor porn, just like all the old oil paintings.
Well, in an episode of The Tudors, Henry VIII actually commissions a naked portrait of this woman he's banging. And we all know that show's historically accurate. Mm-hmm. By the way, I'm super excited to do the episode where we riff it when you're visiting.
Oh yeah, that'll be next week.
It's gonna be good times. No, not next week, 2 weeks. Because you're not visiting this weekend, you're visiting in 2 weekends.
That's what I meant.
So it'll be the episode in 2 weeks.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
It's okay, I forgive you.
Okay.
So anyway, Dee returned to England after years of being a nomad. And he found his home was vandalized and his library was ruined because people suck and you can never have nice things.
Uriel told us to do it.
And England was also less cool with the Ouija board stuff. So he had a little bit of a tough time. So Elizabeth was like, I could probably help you out if you bring back the scryer who slept with your wife so that he can fix all of the economic shit that's happening in our country. Which I love the idea of Queen Elizabeth being like, fuck it, let's try magic.
She just doesn't give a shit. It's like, whatever, man.
She's like, I'm done with this. I didn't expect to live this long.
I'm not married. I don't have any kids. Like, let's just throw everything in a pot and see what cooks.
So Elizabeth appointed him the warden of Christ's College, and the fellows there didn't like him at all. Sorry, I can't stop yawning. So at one point, the fellows went to John and they were like, these 7 children have been possessed by the devil. Could you help us? And John was like, I'm busy. I got coffee or something.
Look, I'd really love to, but
Uriel said
says
I
it's a bad time. Maybe next week.
Look,
check back.
Could you contact your angel buddies and ask them to pretty please help out with these poor children who are possessed by the devil? He's busy. He just took a vacation. His out of office is on.
I keep sending him an email. It bounces back.
I need Edward Kelly, my scryer. So he returned to England in 1605, and at that point, King James was on the throne, and King James was like, I don't give a fuck about you. So he ended up, sadly, spending his final years in poverty, and he was selling off his possessions until he died at 82, which is fucking old for the Tudor times.
Edward, I'm poor. Oh my God,
with my
please. Uriel said you should give me that $5 I lent you 30 years ago. Dude, I made all that up.
What? Yeah, dude, your wife is hot.
It's pretty funny, though. I can't believe you fell for it. See you, buddy. Yeah, I want to know more about Edward Kelly now.
Maybe that'll be another episode.
God, yeah, he sounds fascinating as shit. Mostly because he tricks some dude into sleeping with his wife. Not that I think cuckoldry is cool or anything, but I mean,
Henry VIII didn't.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
So throughout his life, John had been married 3 times, and he had 8 children. His first 2 marriages didn't have any children, though.
Oh, well.
So when he was 52 years old, he actually married the wife who gave him 8 children. She was 23 years old, so yay being disgusting. And her name was Jane Freeman.
Yeah, I'm sure she really loved him.
She probably liked. Oh my God! What if soap opera? What if Jane was having an affair? Oh my God, Jane was having an affair with Edward Kelly. They fell in love, and then she got pregnant, and she was like, "Shit, John can't get it up. I can't fake it. I can't fake that it's his. He's an old as fuck dude, and he hasn't gotten it up in like 5 years. How do I make him think this is his baby?"
What would Jesus' mother do? An angel came to me.
And then Edward was like, I have a really fucking good idea. I'll tell him I have to sleep with you. Let's see if this will work. Oh my God, that sounds like a soap opera. These are the Tudors of our lives.
As the Tudor rose turns.
Anyway, poor Jane died of the bubonic plague.
As you're wont to do.
That what happens in the 1500s. Everybody dies of the bubonic plague. And he was survived by 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. And his daughter nursed him until he died, so that was very sweet of her. So one cool thing that happened, I mean, kind of a lot of cool things happened, but one thing is that in 1570, John Dee had published a book called he published a mathematical preface to Henry Billingsley's English translation of Euclid's Elements. So it really annoys me because it's like a possessive of a possessive of a possessive. Either way. So
like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Yes. Whose steakhouse is it? Is this Ruth's or is this Chris's? So he was arguing the central importance of mathematics and outlining its influence on other arts and sciences. So he was really ahead of his time. And it was meant for audiences outside of universities. So it was in stupid people speak. So it was really influential and frequently reprinted. And the preface was considered to be one of Dee's most important mathematical works. So anyway.
Yeah, you're talking about math. I can't follow you there.
Yeah, same here. I was reading about math and I was like, boring. That's the one history subject that will never entertain me is the history of math. Oh my God, that sounds boring. I can't even finish the sentence.
Hello and welcome to the history of math.
I'd rather listen to Marmalade talk.
We're not going to teach you math. We're just going to tell you how people learned how to do math.
This is called the abacus.
Now the abacus, this is a pretty fancy how do you do. So you take this bead and you move it over here. And that's
and
one.
And it represents 1.
You move another bead over and that represents, can you guess it? It's 2.
What would that podcast be called?
Boring ass math talk.
We're not even going to sugarcoat it. That's just the boring ass math talk. Oh, fuck math. I hate it. I told somebody I hated math. I told a woman I hated math, and she goes, that's anti-feminist. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding?
What?
Yeah. And I was like, I hate math. I've never been good at it.
She said because you hate math, you're anti-feminist?
She said saying I hated math is anti-feminist.
What?
Because I was like, I hate math. I was never good at it. I always struggled. It never made sense to me. It's not fun. There's nothing enjoyable about math. There's nothing creative. And she's like, that's anti-feminist. I was like,
I mean, sure, whatever you think, sister.
I never made that connection. It's not like I was
that's
like,
when you
all
say,
women are
that's
bad
when
at
you
math.
say, I think anti-feminism is accusing me of anti-feminism. It's like that Spider-Man pointing at each other thing.
Classic Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's John Dee Rockefeller.
That
minus
D
the Rockefeller.
does it for John Dee.
That D does it for John Dee. Fuck you. So this is a short episode.
It was
shorter, but that's because we're missing Jeff, and also because I'm just getting back into the tutor ways. So next week we'll have an exciting episode. Maybe next week I'll actually figure out what we're going to talk about a couple hours before we actually talk about it.
Send those recommendations.
Well, here's the thing. They do send recommendations, and I actually have a whole list of them. This was a recommended episode.
Oh, was it?
So thank you to our listener who recommended we talk about John Dee. I'm sorry I didn't write down who it was. We do have a couple of recommendations. It's just I felt like this one was a good one to come back to.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
it's like a light salad. Like after you've been sick,
it is.
It's like I don't want to eat something
it's like a ginger
heavy.
salad. Oh, do you know what's really good after you're sick? Is a ginger salad from any Asian restaurant.
I don't think I've ever had a ginger salad.
Yeah, you have. Whenever we go to Kobayashi, that's the salad they have. It's just a salad with ginger dressing. It's so good, guys. If you're ever sick, go to a restaurant and it's literally just chopped iceberg lettuce with shaved carrots, and they put ginger dressing on it, and it's so good.
Okay, so speaking of weird food stuff when you're sick. So I was listening to a podcast. This guy was telling a story about how he found a weird food combination they liked where it's nacho cheese Doritos and cottage cheese.
Oh.
I can see that being good.
My weird food thing is I like tortilla chips with ranch dressing.
No, I mean, I've done that since I was a child.
Me too.
That's like a big thing up here, like at our local Tex-Mex restaurant Hacienda. Like that's like the big thing. You get ranch with your salsa and your chips because you get free chips, but the ranch isn't free, but it's so good.
I get ranch. My favorite ranch is from Chili's. Chili's chips with ranch. You know what? When I'm sick, they're like.
By the way, we're in the bullshit talk part of the podcast, so.
Divorce, we had to die. Divorce, we had to survive.
Yeah, if you just want to listen to us talk bullshit, because I haven't talked to anyone in a while.
We'll get to serious stuff. Find us on Facebook at Tudor Hardly Know Her. Find us on Twitter at Tudor Know Her. Rate and review us. We have stopped reading the reviews lately because they make Emily sad, but
we've got some pretty good reviews lately.
Have we? Should I read them?
Like the last 2 or 3, I think. Yeah.
Okay, I'll check them out.
But yeah, send us reviews and let us know what you think. Tell us you love us if you love us.
Actually, somebody tweeted a review to us that made me happy. So, thank you for that. And anything else?
No, I just want to talk shit with Emily.
One of our listeners tweeted and said they really love the podcast, except they hate the beeping in your background. So Garrett, I'm going to walk you through fixing that because I can't do it because
my roommate is the account holder for.
Is it a security alarm thing?
Yeah.
Take out the fucking batteries.
Yeah, but how do we know if there's an intruder?
Garrett, it's not working because the beeping is saying it's not working. I know.
But
anyway.
Yeah, we got to figure that out. Anyway. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about the beeping.
It's okay.
I just don't hear it anymore.
You get used to it. That's what it is. You don't hear it anymore. But we're going to fix this.
Yeah, we'll get it one
Together
day.
we can accomplish anything.
My roommates are looking at me just laughing their asses off because it drives them crazy too.
Yeah, we're gonna get through this.
Okay.
Anyway, until next time.
Divorce, beheaded, died.
Divorce, beheaded, survived.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.